Hello, everybody. Very good morning on this beautiful Sunday morning. And we have a very interesting guest today. His name is Ameya. He is my brother's very close friend, right from their school days. So, Ameya is an engineer by profession, uh, born and brought up in Pune, a typical Punekar, had all his education in Pune, and then he moved to US. Uh, he was working as a in the continuous improvement field using various frameworks such as Lean, Six Sigma, so on and so forth. And I think last 15 years he's working in healthcare domain. Now, I think while working with that domain, he came across many individuals who were burnt out, who were under a lot of stress. They were not able to recover. Okay, and I think a couple of years back he came back to India, and now he has launched an app, a platform to especially help people working in medical professionals who are burnt out, who don't get time to recover physically, mentally. But it is not only restricted to those. Any common man who is facing this issue can use this app. And I always respect people who want to earn their fortune. They go outside, but they always come back where their roots are, and they want to contribute towards this society where they actually grew up. So I'll call him a social entrepreneur. So welcome, Ameya, to our Live Solutions YouTube channel. Very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Let's begin by, I want you to introduce yourself much more than what I have already done. Maybe a brief about your childhood, your education, and your experiences in US, and then we'll take it from there.
Sure. First of all, very good morning to you and to all your viewers. Thank you for having me here, and thank you for that beautiful introduction. So like you mentioned, I'm a typical Punekar. I grew up in Pune, and my education happened in Pune, completed bachelor's in mechanical engineering. So now if we are talking about my background, many people find it unbelievable or interesting. I just find it very lucky. I'm very lucky to have this background. Mechanical engineer by education, worked in automotive manufacturing company in Pune for 3.5 years or so in research and development, designing heavy commercial vehicle products. And then I thought of learning something new. And when I was looking for opportunities, one option came across to do masters, and masters in the US sounded very interesting. So I pursued that dream, and in 2008, I completed masters again in mechanical engineering. But my focus was more on improvement philosophies, because I was working in a lean institute at my university. And that gave me a chance to learn more about these improvement methodologies or philosophies, their practical applications, what works well, what doesn't work well. And then I really took that up as a challenge, and I did my research in that. So I published my thesis, how to measure agility of organizations. And because if you measure it, you have some baseline to improve it. So that was the logic behind it. And so that was my first step towards the next 15 years, I would say, what led to next 15 years. And then I landed in a very interesting way, my first job in a hospital. I mean, when I was job hunting, it was 2008 recession, meltdown, and things were very difficult. So I was looking for unusual opportunities. And it happened so that there was a job for lean engineer in a hospital. I was like,
Yeah.
what does that mean? So I started researching on it, and I found tremendous applications of these engineering concepts or process improvement concepts, continuous improvement philosophies in healthcare field. And that's how I started working in a hospital in the US. And it was a very interesting journey. Healthcare was new to me. Continuous improvement was new to them. So we worked well together, and we set up a department, continuous improvement department. Um, so that's how my journey began. But then I found it very satisfying that I was able to use my knowledge, I was able to use my education to help people. You mentioned the word social entrepreneur. I think it has roots in that experience that I was helping people in healthcare, not directly patients, but um, indirectly working with the caregivers, the nurses, the doctors, technicians, lab, pharmacy, every department I got a chance to work with. And it was very satisfying experience. So I continued. I worked in different healthcare systems, hospitals, healthcare systems, community hospitals, big hospital systems, having 4 or 5 big medical centers. And it was a rich experience. But at the same time, I started observing that things have been going around for a long time, like the application of continuous improvement philosophies in healthcare is not new. It's been going on since late 90s or early 2000s. But the pace of improvement was not matching the demand.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons was what I found out was sustainability is a challenge, like in any improvement journey. And when I started looking at the root causes of that, I found that people are exhausted, people are burnt out, people are frustrated. And somehow these continuous improvement philosophies are not addressing that, or they don't have a formal channel to address it. So the catch-22 or the dilemma for someone like me or an administrator is how do I improve efficiencies? How do I improve my business, my market share, my profits? But at the same time, how do I keep my employees engaged?
Mhm.
How do I keep them satisfied? How do I reduce my how do I improve my retention and reduce turnover? So then I started experimenting with individuals, people who were interested in my approach. I took a little bit different approach than traditional continuous improvement. And then I became more confident as I saw results. People who worked on their satisfaction, uh, people who found the common ground between their interests and organization's interests, they were more satisfied. I wouldn't call it happy. Of course, happy, they were happy, but it was deeper than that. They were more satisfied with whatever they were doing. And they also improved efficiencies. They also improved their business centers numbers. So that's how I think the journey began. And then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And that put tremendous pressure on healthcare systems.
Yeah.
But people who were using some kind of improvement methods or improvement tools, it helped them manage those pressures, manage that crisis. I wouldn't call that it was perfectly managed, but I saw the difference between who had that mindset uh, and who did not have that mindset.
Okay.
So that's when I started thinking about helping on a bigger scale than helping a hospital or healthcare system. Why can't I put this in an organized manner
Okay.
and help anyone who wants to do this, help anyone who is facing burnout issue or anyone who will face burnout issue in the future. Now, like you mentioned, burnout is a physical and mental state of exhaustion, and you just cannot escape it because it will come your way at some point in your career. Um, if you don't know how to avoid it, if you don't know how to fight it, how to recover from it, and traditional well-being solutions like yoga or anything else in the wellness domain, well-being domain, it helps a little bit. It helps you bring down your anxiety, it helps you bring down your stress, but it doesn't solve your business problems. And the root cause of all this burnout lies somewhere in the business problems also.
Okay.
So what I'm calling this, or the field, the official name for this is psychotechnical skills.
Okay.
And that's when I started working on my company. I thought of starting a company. I came back to India. I founded PsySwarm, PSYSWARM. It's a combination of two words, psychology and swarming.
Okay.
Now I jokingly say I worked with the machines. Now I want to work with the men behind the machines.
Yeah.
So that's why the psychology. And the swarming is a behavior which we'll talk more about in the due course of interview. But when people swarm, when humans swarm to solve something, they accomplish amazing things. It's not human nature to swarm for problem solving. It's not a natural phenomenon. But if you learn that, if you can practice that, you can achieve that. And that's how I would say I ended up inspired by my experiences of 15 plus years. I started this new journey.
Excellent. So we will try to understand what is swarming.
Sure.
But what made you come back to India? I mean, anybody who has spent so many years in US used to that lifestyle. What made you come back? And I have very high regard and respect for people who never forget their roots. They want to come back. They want to contribute to the society. So what made you come back to India?
That's a very tough question, but I think I was really inspired by the situation during the COVID. India is somewhere lagging behind in the healthcare domain. We are doing good work, actually. We have done good work in the past 5 to 6 years, I would say. But this is the right opportunity if you want to set up the systems right, if you want to set up your infrastructure right, you have to include all this in the setting up phase. Otherwise, you are reworking on it. And India is a great opportunity right now to serve in this domain, to serve in this field. The innovation that is happening, the technology that is coming in, this is the right time, I think. If we really start using, if we really start pursuing this mindset in India, will reap benefits in the next 10 to 15 years. So that was the main reason. The other reason, the secondary reason was open-mindedness. I find more open-mindedness to try out things, to try out new technologies, to try out new methods. There is hunger, there is fire in the belly. And that's what inspired me to come back.
Okay, great. So when you say you started working with healthcare professionals, so whatever you have built up as a platform, and we'll come to the detail, but is it more aligned to work with the healthcare systems organizations, or is it more individual focus?
That's a great question. You cannot work on burnout individually. You have to have some kind of organizational buy-in. So, like I mentioned, the core reason of burnout lies somewhere in the business problems. People get burnt out not only because of overwork. People get burnt out because they don't know how to navigate systems. People get burnt out because they don't know or they cannot see what's coming their way. People get burnt out because they are not able to solve chronic problems. So individual level, you have to work at individual level, but you must understand the organizational systems. And that's why I mentioned in my last conversation that the common area between organization and individuals is growth. Organizations want to grow and individuals want to grow. Now, if you align individuals' interest to organizational interests, that's a win-win situation. And that's a win-win situation for burnout also. So although it is geared more towards individual use, organizations can use this at a mass scale to train, to continuously add value to their employees. And then employees can personalize their solutions, because your burnout solution will be different than mine. What works for you might not work for me. But the common understanding of a system is the base, which everyone will have to build. The mindset, the methods, and of course that leads to money, because business, you cannot separate business and money in any type of business. So one must understand this, and that's why one must understand the system and try to control the system so that they can control their outcomes and reduce burnout, or avoid burnout. However you want to use it, you can use it. So to answer your question, yes, it is designed as a platform that organizations can use to facilitate development and growth for their employees. And employees can use that as a learning tool, a practicing tool, and to personalize solutions for them.
Okay, great. So if I've understood this, so the platform, your methods will look at an organization from a holistic point of view. It will study the organizational systems. It will find out what are the inefficiencies which actually are causing both issues. One is organizational efficiencies, and because you have inefficiencies, people have to put in extra and then they burn out. So what you're trying to solve is, by looking at a bigger picture, by bringing in efficiencies in a systematic way, how the individual building blocks of any organization, and one of them happens to be the human being, how that will impact both at both levels.
Beautifully said. That's right. Absolutely right. Because you used the word holistic, and that's the key. Fragmentation leads to inefficiencies. Fragmentation leads to friction. And wherever there is friction, there is heat, there is frustration, and frustration creates stress. It creates long-term stress. Chronic stress leads to burnout. So things have to be aligned, and alignment begins with holistic approach. So yes, you cannot separate efficiency issue and burnout issue. You have to address it holistically, and that's why it takes a look at organizational picture from the holistic point of view, and it personalizes solutions for individuals.
Okay, so now you said you had a focus on medical domain. So your same platform, can it be used for other domains? Say, for example, I'm an engineering organization. I am a sales organization. I am a service organization. So can those principles, those solutions, can they be replicated in other domains as well?
Absolutely, yes. The platform we have built, it has different features. We'll talk about it, but the concept behind it is it's applicable in any domain. Although I started working with healthcare professionals because I was in healthcare industry, the examples in that, some of the examples I have taken from healthcare industry. For example, a doctor's office visit. If you are going to visit your doctor, Now, it's a common example. It doesn't have anything to do with healthcare employees. You can relate to that. Anyone working in IT or
Yeah.
engineering or sales can relate with that. Now, you have to wait at doctor's office. It doesn't happen like you walk in and you walk into doctor's cabin and you are treated. So we have taken examples like that so that every individual, any individual, irrespective of field they are working in, can understand the concept.
Okay.
And the principles are, of course, applicable in any domain. Like these principles came out of engineering industry, and now they are being applied worldwide in every domain. So, of course, the principles, the methods, the concepts, the tools are applicable, can be used by any individual. They don't have to work in healthcare industry. It happened that we started working with healthcare. We continued working with healthcare, but sure, uh, there is application for everyone. And burnout, like I mentioned, burnout is a human phenomenon. It doesn't look at your industry, the field you are working in. So yeah, absolutely.
So in a nutshell, it's domain and industry agnostic platform.
Absolutely.
Great. So now let's actually come back to what you have built. So would you like to explain what is the app or the platform that you have built, what it does, and how to use it?
Sure. Before answering that question directly, I would like to point out the severity of this concept, severity of this burnout. I speak with people from different domains, and many people don't understand what I'm talking about because they haven't heard this word burnout. Maybe it's called exhaustion, maybe it's called something else, that
Stressed
I'm too
out.
tired.
Stressed
Yeah,
out, something like
stressed out, right? But World Health Organization has recognized this as a medical condition, actually.
Okay.
So it's a different medical condition than all other anxiety, stress, depression, and this is burnout. So one of the leading consulting companies published their report last year, and they have estimated that pre-COVID, 2.8 million people lost their lives because of some of the reasons related to burnout.
Okay.
Now, this is a huge number. This is a big number, and this is pre-COVID. So now we can imagine what must have happened through COVID and after COVID. So I like to call it a silent pandemic. Burnout is a silent pandemic. In many areas of the world, or even India, it's rationalized. It's either rationalized. What are you talking about? That's the way it works. So just keep your head down and get working.
That's what life is.
That's what life is.
Yeah.
Right. But no, that's burnout, and one shouldn't take it lightly. In some areas, it's a taboo. You are not allowed to talk about it, or if you talk about it, you are looked at as someone weak. Like, you cannot handle this. See how others are doing it. So, and one doesn't have to go through these situations. So that's the intensity of it. That's the severity of it. And that's why I think individuals must focus on burnout. Individuals must focus on how to avoid or how to address burnout, how to resolve it. And organizations also must start taking burnout seriously because it impacts their bottom line. When it impacts employees, there is higher turnover, there is higher dissatisfaction, and then it impacts the business, it impacts the bottom line. So that's why I think whatever we have tried to build addresses both. It helps both organizations and individuals. Okay. Now I will go into the details. So I will talk in somewhat details about the platform. Now the challenge we are trying to solve is how do we sustain the gains? How do we sustain improvements? And one of the root causes for not sustaining it is you don't continuously get trained on that. Okay. Now, imagine a seafarer who is working on a ship. They have to continuously go through training to keep their competencies up. or take a nurse or take a doctor. They have to go through trainings to keep their competencies active, to keep their competencies up to date. Now, when it comes to continuous improvement, you don't have that. You are trained at some level, most probably once, and then you keep working. And you keep working on whatever with the background of whatever you were trained on. And there are different methods of training, different angles of training. So if you are trained by someone, next time I come in and our philosophies, our approaches conflict, then there is no use. So that was the problem we were trying to solve. So we thought of creating an online platform where we can put all the content. You can use it at your own pace. You can select from 12 different areas which area you want to dive in deeper. That also creates something we call as psychological safety. Now, if people find themselves vulnerable, they are less likely to improve. They are less likely to open up. So, and no manager, no administrator, no CEO can give you psychological safety because it's your psychology. No one else can create safety for you. You have to build your psychological safety. So what we thought, we will build a psychologically safe space where people can go in, they can experiment with their methods, they can build their mindset, and ultimately they can start addressing the money problems. So the bottom line, business problems. So that's why we created an app, because it's in India, pretty much everyone has a smartphone. You can access these apps. You can use them. You don't have to open up to someone else that what you are lacking in or what are your weak points. You can start working on that. So that's why we built an app. It's an online platform. We call it online platform and not just app because there are different features where people can come in, people can contribute. Once you start working on your improvement journey, once you start building your psychotechnical skills, a very critical phase comes in where you need someone else to talk about it, someone else to share your thinking about whatever you have done. And that's where communities come into picture. So we have a community on that platform in our app. We call it swarming. And why we call it swarming, I'll talk about that a little bit. Like I said, swarming to solve problems is not a natural phenomenon in humans.
Just one. So can you tell us the meaning of the word swarming, and then we'll start from there.
Sure. So swarming in technical language, it's emerging behaviors towards common goal. So for example, if you look at ants, they form a line and they do their work. They talk to each other in their own language, but they finish their work. That is called swarming. If you look at honeybees while building the beehive or later, they kind of form patterns. Their behaviors emerge based on what stage of building that beehive they are at. And that emerges their behavior. So that emerging behavior towards common goal, it's called swarming. So in nature, we find swarming. We see birds swarming. We call swarm of birds. Insects swarm. So there is a lot of swarming in nature, but there is not natural swarming in humans. So facilitated swarming is the solution we are trying to work with here.
Okay. So to simplify the meaning, can I say that working towards a goal in a synchronous manner as a team? Can I say that?
Yes. Okay. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Right. So it is a synchronous behavior, synchronous efforts toward a common goal. And so a natural question would come, how is it different than a team, like a normal team, a project team? The difference is emerging behavior. Normally, we don't work on behaviors consciously. Those behaviors in a natural team setting are not addressed in a conscious manner by individuals. So here, individuals are trained to address those behaviors, those mindsets before you go into such a swarming, or before you go take up a project. You build that mindset, you work on your mindset, and then you go into it. So that's the difference, and that's the behavior, that's the community we are trying to build with this platform. It also talks about, we talked about the content. So right now there is 600 plus minutes of content on 12 different areas of system. Building a community is another feature we have there, or another effort we are doing. There is one more critical step that every individual can do in this, or we encourage them to do in this, is reflections. How many of us reflect daily on whatever we do? Not much. We reflect, we think about it, but reflection goes deeper than that. Reflection goes into understanding why, what happened and why did that happen. Mm-hmm. So same concept is applied to systems. If you are working in a system, you must understand why some things are happening and why some things are not happening. Employees are not trained to think in that way. So we help individuals to deeply reflect on systems. So reflection is a part of it. Community, swarming community is a part of it. Content is a part of it. And of course, like I said, burnout solutions for individuals can be different. So we have also kept a service of personalizing your burnout solutions. Yeah. Because many times things happen, like you start working on something and you hit a wall. You don't know how to go past that. Your community members might not be able to help you. You might need that something extra. So that's where we can personalize solutions for you. We can take a look at your mindset, and we can tell you what will work for you, and again, why some things are not working for you. So that's in a nutshell why we thought of building a platform, why we thought of building a platform around this concept of burnout, and what does this platform offer.
Okay, so a very layman question. So two types of examples you can explain. I am
sure
a medical professional in any form, like I may be a doctor or a nurse or support staff, right?
Sure.
And I want to use this platform. So where do I start? Can you explain, say, this is the first step, this is the second step, something like that?
Sure.
And same question for if I'm not related to medical professional, same question. Where do I start?
Sure. So it's an app, so mobile app. You can go to either Google Play Store or Apple App Store. You can search for Satisfaction Farm Life Skills. Okay. That's the name of the app. And then you can download the app. It's free download, free account creation. After downloading, you have to create your account. You have to register with your email ID, and you can create an account. After creating an account, you can start using the reflections. You can start watching content. It's the same process for healthcare professional versus a non-healthcare professional. Just while selecting while signing up, while you can select your industry, healthcare or non-healthcare. Okay. And the division is only related to the community. So okay. Because you don't want to go into healthcare workers community and start looking at their problems, you might not understand right. That they might not understand yours. So we have the feature that builds two different communities, one for healthcare workers and one for non-healthcare workers. So please select that, the area, the domain you are working in, and you can start using, and you will see relevant swarming comments or facilitated swarms in that. So the process, again, we have tried to keep domain or field agnostic. It doesn't matter which field you work in. You go to the store, you download the app, you sign up. Just while signing up, make sure you are selecting your field, healthcare or non-healthcare. And then the content is, right now we have kept the content same for anyone who wants to work on this. But the future plans are uh, to to customize content also. For example, there are some problems peculiar to IT industry or healthcare industry. Then we want to address that and we want to add that content. But right now, the 12 areas are applicable to every individual. Doesn't matter which industry you are working in.
Okay. Is there a separate corporate version of the app, or app is the same? It can be used by individual as well as corporate. How does it go?
That's a great question. And yes, there is a different login for corporate. So, for example, if a manager wants to give this as a gift to their employees, their teams, they can contact us and we can create organizational logins for them.
Okay.
It's easy because if we create an organizational login, your team can access, your team can build a swarming community in there. So yes, there is organizational login we can give. Organizational login gives you full access to all the features versus individual login, you'll have to go through different levels.
Yeah. Okay. So now, if I have understood this correctly, so what I'm assuming is once I download the app, once I create the login, the content, the tools, the techniques that you have provided are self-explanatory for me to navigate through this thing. So, say for example, we always in a continuous improvement world, we always first define the problem. So
yes,
I have a problem in mind, and that's why I want to use this app. So with that problem in mind, I start going through various your 12 areas of
right.
I go through those training videos or something. There might be some tools and techniques you have provided. So is it enough self-explanatory, or in case if I come across some issue, I hit a roadblock, do you also provide offline support?
Yes. So the first point I'll address, it is how to use the app. We have put a video out there.
Okay.
How to use the app. So how to navigate the app. What are different features in the app? You can where you can find a particular feature. So if you have problem with that, I would encourage to go through that video first. If you don't understand anything, always reach out to me. I'm happy to help. Now, coming back to the question you asked, if I have a problem in my mind and if I go in and I've tried to find content related to that, yes, it is pretty self-explanatory because you cannot find a problem that lies outside of these 12 areas.
Okay.
It's like we said, it's holistic approach. So we have included every area, every part of the system in our content. You might not find, if you don't find a particular video you are looking at or particular content you are looking at, then you can always reach out to us. We can guide you where to find it, or we can guide you to our other social media platforms. For example, YouTube channel. We are trying to give different content on YouTube channel and on this platform so that people can benefit more. If you don't want to spend, if you don't have time, if you are looking at this from in between your or in your lunch break, you can quickly go on YouTube channel. You can look at those videos. You can look at shorts, and then when you have time, dedicated time, you can go on the platform and search for the content. So the content, the navigation of the content is pretty self-explanatory, but we are ready to help.
Great. Okay, excellent. So Ameya, now if I mean, have you thought about coming up in any, what should I say, a franchisee model or a business opportunity? Say, if I'm looking for earning something extra, so I join up with your organization.
Mhm.
I promote this app. I get you customers. So is there some kind of a business opportunity available for people? Because some people might be interested in that.
Sure. Um, at this point, because it's an online platform and because it's a knowledge based platform, there is always opportunity for, if you have content, if you can create content,
Okay.
you can always come to us. We will help you put your content on our platform. You can share that with your audience,
Right.
and we can work together to build more meaningful, more personalized content, and also that will help us in building communities in a wider space.
Yeah.
So yes, if you are interested in creating content, if you are interested in reaching out to people outside of your domain or within your domain also, uh, it's a platform, and that's why we kept it open so that you can create content, and you can help others.
Excellent. Uh, I think we are almost coming to the end. Uh, any specific message, any specific thing you want to talk about uh, for our audience, that uh, why it is an important issue? I know you talked about it, but because we are closing down now, we'll again would like to stress more on that, why it is important, especially at this point in time, and how can this platform help in your journey?
Sure. I'll try to make it more succinct. It's like I mentioned, this is a severe issue in a culture like Indian culture. Some places can look at it as a taboo, don't talk about it. Some places try to rationalize that, but it's related to your satisfaction. It's related to your well-being, and there is nothing more than what makes us humans. We try to pursue satisfaction. Others don't. They try to pursue time bound happiness. Like, I get food, I'm done. I get something else, I'm done. But humans go beyond that. Humans go in pursuit of satisfaction. And burnout is the biggest roadblock in that, in the current times. And the reason is obvious. The disruptions that are happening in our world, in our lives, are happening at tremendous pace, and we are not equipped to face those disruptions. We are not equipped to navigate those disruptions. And the disruptions I'm talking about are like industrial revolution. Like before industrial revolution, there were trades. People used to work in their own trade. They used to support their lives, and they were happy. They're satisfied. But then industrial revolution came. The entire education system changed. Now your trades are lost. You go into education system, you learn the same thing. So what's your differentiation? That was the problem. Then came it. It was the second disruption. It changed many things. It created opportunities, but it also created pressures on markets. It created pressures on your wages. What's your differentiation? Now the next differentiation is AI, artificial intelligence. It's going to disrupt our lives. We cannot even imagine.
Yeah, it has
And
already started, and I know because I'm working on the same project in the same.
right, right. So you have authority to talk about it. And in healthcare also, we are seeing applications of AI, and it's going to disrupt our lives to such an extent that if we don't start addressing it right now, we will not have time later. Like, the best way to avoid a crisis or to not go into a crisis is to prevent one, to take measures before the crisis happens. And if you know that especially it's looming around, It's not avoidable. So start preparing for it before it's too late. It's otherwise you'll have to work on it at war footing. Like that doesn't make any sense. That will put
Firefighting.
more pressure on that.
Yeah.
And the concept is avoid firefighting, because once you are in firefighting, you don't learn. You just firefight. There is another fire burning before you extinguish the first one.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it. Let's spread more awareness about burnout. Let's spread more knowledge about burnout, how to address burnout, how to avoid burnout, how not to shame people if they are burnt out, how to help them, how to facilitate communities so that we can come together and we can help each other to resolve this problem, to solve the problem. And it's ultimately related to your satisfaction, your health. So that's the severity of it. I would again like to stress that it is human phenomenon. It is not related to the field you are working in. Medical professionals, healthcare professionals have experienced it through COVID. Now it's shifting to all other industries. IT has experienced burnout. Mechanical industry has, manufacturing industry has experienced burnout. So let's start talking about it. Let's start talking about it at a human level, and try to build a healthier communities, healthier human lives.
Excellent. I think Ameya and Co, I think you have started on a great note. I'm wishing you all the very best, because what you have is uh, at a base of your idea is nothing but social well-being. And all the very best. And what we are going to do, we will put the link to the platform in the comments of the video. We
Sure.
will put your contact number, your mail ID in the video, so that if somebody wants to reach out to you, they can.
Absolutely.
Again, thanks a lot for giving your time. I think this is a great cause that you are working with, and wish you all the success. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Like I mentioned, please reach out to me if you face any problem, if you have any difficulty or questions. I'm happy to answer. Let's build satisfaction capital together.
Absolutely. We will be together in this. Thank you.
Thank you very much.